Grand Rising, everyone. It's Shay Seeking, and I'd like to welcome you back to another dose of This Is Not Your Mama's Bible Study and His Story Lied. So, today we're going to be talking about. I promised you guys a while ago to do something on Adam or just androgynous beings. If we may be talking about this in general in the Word or the book or the Holy Bible or the Bible or whatever. Okay, so again, we take an alternative approach when we're reading the text. We are using wisdom, knowledge, discernment, common sense, and everyday, and his story, and all these other things. And we're asking questions of uh, why, what, when, and where. Okay, now, for those of you that think that this is some kind of thing that has to do with religion or Christianity. Nope, that's not what we do on this channel. I am not an atheist, but I'm not a Christian, and I'm not religious, and I do not attend a church. I am someone that just continuously reads the word. This is just what I do. I've been, I don't know, thrown into this a couple of years back. And now I found out some pretty crafty things. But since I'm more of a spiritual and more of an artistic and visual mind, um, hence Shay Seeking. And I'm always looking into something. I've been able to obtain a whole bunch of information over the past 7 years, but at some point in time, it said, hey, I told myself, hey, if you can't at least share with the people to maybe kind of, connect with people that may be interpreting these things the same way, then what's the use of having all this information in your head? And I was just kind of going crazy. So this is like my therapy or a way of lifting the veil off of others' eyes, because one thing I do know is that religion and the church are the biggest blockers when it comes to actually understanding, not understanding, but inner and overstanding what you're reading in this text. Okay, so we use other forms of things to get our research. I have the Nag Hammadi here. I have several different Bibles. A various amount of Bibles. I have newer ones, antique ones that are falling apart from the 1800s, all the way through, and I like to look at all of them. I don't stick to just one version of the Bible because, again, I would think that if someone wanted to deceive me by rewriting it some kind of way and having a majority of so called people that look like me, so called black people, or people in my community that look like me, favor that Bible, I think that that's another way of mind control or mind games. So, again, every way, if you read a whole bunch of different forms of the text, you should still be able to come up with an initial way of seeing this. And it does not have to be, like I said, when it comes to the church, I feel like that's more cultish and more of a herd mentality. Okay, because yes, people do have their individual way of seeing things in a certain sense when it comes to those general things, like God is good all the time. And we're here to bust things like that wide open, because it's just ridiculous to say this because he's not. So again, we are not afraid to challenge, and we are not thinking that there is a God in the sky. I believe that we are in some form of a simulation or a what do you call it? Maybe even like to the form of like us being in a caste system, and we just don't know how the real world is really, or how their world has been created on top of ours. So again, if you are down with any of that stuff, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, if you like, just so that I can get things moving on this channel. And then let's go right into it. So this is a freestyle I have over the past couple of months. Well, with this here, I decided I wanted to come out with this maybe about 3 weeks ago. So over the past 3 weeks, I'm somebody that my mind is always going when it comes to all of this stuff. So I don't just delve into one thing and call myself knowing about it. I like to link everything up, so I can be fair when it comes to letting you guys know that the main thing on this channel is saying that this 6th day of creation has been the major first thing that people have misinterpreted. Over the years, I have several videos on that, how you can kind of see us going through Genesis. So I'm not going to do that right now. But again, when we're talking about these days here and separating darkness from light, I highly disagree with the fact that we're talking about the sun and the moon. Because what you have to understand is the whole book of Genesis is a creation, a entity's creation on top of a already primitive nation. right? So this is a nation that is ignoring the fact or talking around the fact that there were people in certain places, and they have shifted, altered your perception and the timeline, and used different calendars throughout time in order to, and some people, some of these scientists and stuff are now coming out saying that they think that they're hiding 1,000 years from us. Okay, well, I interpret that especially when it comes to things like this, like biblical things, and then mythology and all this other stuff. But my whole thing is to question everything. We've been lied to about everything, and when I'm reading this text, it speaks to me differently, and then I use that way to go ahead and do my research. So, when we're talking about the sun and all of this stuff, we're not talking about that. And he did not wait until day 6 to create people. There were already people there. And when we're talking about day 3, and we're talking about let these yield seed, these herb yielding seeds and stuff, this is another form of talking around your head and basically talking about people. The animals are representing nations, people, bloodlines, or coat of arms, or crest, or something in that form. Some more is more symbolic than what you think. Okay, and when we're talking about Genesis, I mean, when we're talking about the Old Testament in general, I feel wholeheartedly, and I've been able to link up some dates and times. But again, I'm not here to tell you what it is, what it ain't. I'm here to tell you what it looked like to me. So I've been able to link up a couple of things that are very interesting, and I do believe that these days may represent something else. And when we're talking about day 1, it may be 1,000, because again, a day to us is supposed to be 1,000 years to God. So then this will be 1,200, 1,300s, the 1,400s, the 1,500s, and the 1,600s. Okay. So if you think about that in the colonization of the Americas, then you can place yourself right there in Genesis. Okay, don't let it fool you. Okay, so again, we're talking about the creation of Adam, and how Adam, we may be able to see a different view in thinking that Adam, this whole thing that has to do with Adam and Eve, may be talking about androgynous beings. Okay, so we're not fearing any type of thing, because anytime anything promotes fear, give it up. So if you fear questioning this in this manner, then this is not the channel for you. We've already been given the keys, and we busting open the gate. So you know what I'm saying? Okay. So let's go ahead and look at the fact that, let's see. Okay, we'll start with after it says the 5th day. So he already, and I'll give you a general, you know what, I'll go up a little bit just so you guys can kind of see what I'm trying to say. So, oh, another big thing you need to know about this channel is when we're talking about the waters, most of the time we're just talking about aliens, foreigners, immigrants, people that are not originally from the place, voyagers, pilgrims, planters, overseers, all of these people that came over into lands in order to colonize and steal the land and turn the people into either indentured servants, prisoners of war, which we misinterpret as just slavery in America for so-called black people, not knowing that a majority of most black people, so-called black people, were already here in the Americas prior to them colonizing this place. And they would be what you would consider as the aboriginal or the original people of the Americas that have been hidden behind the scenes in history and in your first couple of chapters in Genesis. Okay, so again, let's go ahead and talk about the fact that, okay, so let's just look at this. And God said, let the waters teem with the living creatures. Okay, now a living creature is something that had the breath breathe into it, or someone that is a creation, but it's alive. Now, a lot of us in this indigenous movement or this aboriginal movement, okay, because indigenous would represent the people that sprung from the actual earth. And if you are the earthling or the first people, like the Nag Hammadi says that you can call them earthlings. And it's funny because I was going to do that anyway. So when you're talking about earthlings, just think about so-called misplaced, okay, that's where we get that ab from aborigine. So those are people that were sent away or taken away from their standing, okay, and they've been put underneath or on the ground of the society when it comes to a caste system, Okay. And so those people have had everything stripped away from them. They don't barely know who they are, and they have toiled and toiled, and they live the worst way out of all of the creatures in the world. And the world would include this thing that they've put. The world, when I look at the world, I don't look at it the same way as I used to. The world is this firmament or this thing that they have created for them to thrive and for you to basically die out, meaning Aboriginal, colored people worldwide. We're just talking about the Americas because I believe that the Old Testament is referring heavily to this area. Okay, so so when we're talking about let the waters teem with the living creatures, okay, the waters would represent the immigrants or the aliens, and then the creatures would represent the birds. It says the birds that fly above the earth. Because again, everything is going to be above the earth here, because even the creeping thing from Genesis 1, because they have made themselves a nation on top of a nation, okay, while stealing away and replacing and stealing and transporting all of our information over to foreign lands where they come from, and creating them a nation within our nation in order to feed off of or fuel themselves off of the work of the prisoners of war. And most of us don't even know that that's what it is. You want to go back to Africa because you've been fooled. So let's go into the fact that they fly above the earth. And when I think about that, since we're talking about these kings and these uh, elitists and these families that even most of our presidents have been attached to over the years. Because remember in Genesis, he did say he want a man to preside. And when you look up the term preside, that will lead you to president. Okay. So again, I'm not going to go through that. I always say it over and over again in my videos. If you want to go see about that, you have to go back. Um, so yeah, the birds could be representing Spain, Germany, all these other France, all of these other places that have the eagle or some type of fowl or bird or something that represents their let's just use governing forces, okay? Because that includes, you guys know what I said it includes. It includes all of the stuff that will be in your caste system, all of the things that they have used to indoctrinate the minds of the prisoners of war and the indentured servants and the other people that were serving servitude because of them being less desirable. So then again, but the originals, okay, of those people are always treated worse because they never want you to get to a point where you know who you are and you take a stand, or you grab the other people that sprung from you and take a stand against that top of the pyramid or the governing forces. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at they fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky. Again, the sky will represent, a higher level. Okay, so God created the great creatures of the sea. Okay, and every living thing, moving thing which the waters teemed according to their kinds. Okay, so this is when he built or he created these great whales, which I believe are representing boats and ships for them to be able to bring living creatures, or again, a creature is just something that was created, or foreigners from other places onto said land. And it says that moving thing which the water teems and according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good, and God blessed them and said, be fruitful, increase in numbers, and fill the waters and the seas. So again, this is, can you just imagine, if what are we talking about? Could we be talking about these people? We do know that the French and Indian War occurred. We do know that the French do use some type of a bird in there, just like we have the American eagle as our symbol or whatever, or their symbol, okay? And you do know that when they came here, and they say that they came here, okay, several different ways, doing several different things, okay? But when we're talking about the fact of, if you think that God would have to tell some birds to be fruitful and multiply, and he just had them all gather there, every thousands and thousands and millions of different uh, uh, breeds, we'll just say, okay, just to keep it general, types of birds. And you think that he called all the beasts to one side, or did he telepathically speak? So what I'm saying is this: we're bringing the Bible back to reality, to something tangible that makes sense. I think that we watch these documentaries of these fools going across the world trying to go into the desert and tell you, oh, we think we've found this. It's just for entertainment, and it's a distraction from keeping your eyes on the prize. And the prize is actually the land mass that you're standing on today if you are in the Americas, and I am talking about Canada, all and the other shit that's all on top of it that's broken up that we don't talk about, all the way down to America, which is the United States is a corporation. So I like to use the term America, or North America, and then you have your Mexico, South America, and your islands. This is what I mean about this landmass, and we have to understand that these people are connected to a different landmass, and they've come here and taken your, so legalities and law and everything is in this text, okay? So they've come over here and they've taken your place. They've taken your identity, okay? And then they want you to look to Africa for answers, okay? And we're all the time since we've been born looking to find answers about who we are and what really happened and looking to Africa, but nobody from Africa comes here to teach us anything. Nobody over in Africa are worried or thinking about you at all. Some of the people might be joyous when they see you, but a lot of the other people do not even care, and they just really don't, they really don't like us, okay? They have names for us just like everybody else, file names for us just like everybody else do. So again, they have taken you, knowing that we would not one day have the ability to really go running over there, okay? Because we would be in a lower quality of life and struggling and striving and being at the bottom or the bottom feeders. So again, everything that they found here in our empires, lost empires and temples and pyramids, they've taken over to their land in order to keep them from you, A, and B, have you looking to another continent, okay, for your information, okay? So again, when we're talking about these people teaming up, it just means that they're bringing forth all of their people so that they can be fruitful, increase the numbers, and fill the waters. And again, like I was saying, when we talk about the slave trade, the transatlantic, it was fabricated. The slave trade we really need to speak about is the American Indian slave trade that happened for a longer amount of time to much more people right here in the Americas. Okay, they don't tell you about that one. They want you to talk about the transatlantic because they want you to think that you're from Africa. When we've already done the research the past couple of years, there's no way that they were going back and forth. They would have had to have a ship coming every 4 minutes back and forth in order for them to get all those people over here. People would have been sick and dying and pissing and shitting and doing all this other stuff on each other. And it would have got sick, and it would not have been feasible for a business owner or anyone that now knows about being an entrepreneur or something of that sort to waste your time doing that long journey for coming back here with nothing. Again, the Atlantic Ocean is very rough and very strenuous to cross. We were talking about in times of hurricane season, and these are the things that we have to look at. The images that they give you are just that. They're just drawings. They are drawings, and they may have a couple sketches of what it looked like you were on a boat. But again, there was a lot of stuff going on from them taking Indians from North America down to South America and the Caribbean islands and in the West Indies, and all this other stuff was going on. They could have been coming from anywhere. So it's my view that there's no way that they did. And if you go back to the records where their slave trade, I think it's on .org or something, slavetrade.org or something like that, will show you that there was only 250,000 so-called African slaves brought here from Africa during the entire slave trade. It was never the millions that they told you in school, because the school system was brought up and put in force by the governing system that is over you, that wants to keep you and your offspring and the foreigners in a certain state of mind so that they can keep their standing here. Okay? So I know this is a lot of information, but I like to be very thorough and lead you back to information that you can go look in on your own. Okay, so let's see. So again, that's them all talking about getting together. And the only people that they have documented coming over here in the millions was later on, approximately the 1800s, mid to late, and maybe even after that, of the immigrants that were coming over from different places that were brought here. Maybe the Irish, maybe the Italian, these people. Okay. Those are the ones that came over in those particular numbers. And at that time, they would have had the boats that they would have needed to be able to cross and things of this nature. So again, I'm telling you that we did not get the Bible here in America in the English language until the late 1800s, early 1900s. If you can prove that with a couple of different sources, bring it back to me because I cannot find it. And I'm very diligent when I look. I've seen people mention certain things, but no, 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 no. I've seen other things that say that they had a book that came out, but it was only for certain people. You have to understand that even when it first came out, it was only available to churches, people in these governing forces, and overseeing people. It was not given to said people would be at the bottom of the structure of the caste system. So your so-called, your everyday white people, your poor whites, your other offspring of the earth, okay, your indigenous groups, it was not given to those people. It was given to other people that would be able to enforce or instill this in the minds of said people. And most of the time they were reading it or using religious dogma and terms in order to get you to understand, because they knew you couldn't read the book like that, or you weren't able to put it like that. Okay. So a major reconstruction was going on in the 1800s to finally eliminate everything that would have been proof of your people being here and you being connected to those people. And that's when they whitewashed everything and brought it back to us. Okay. So again, let's just keep on going. Okay. So he's telling birds and stuff to be fruitful. Okay. And it says increase on the earth. And when you know that the earth and the concordance in the earth, when it comes to etymology, it could be speaking, or mostly should be speaking, of people, the early inhabitants, then you'll go ahead and be able to see what I'm saying. Okay. So, and there was evening and morning was the fifth day. And God said, let the land produce living creatures. Sorry, my mouth is just so dry right now. And I think I'm rushing because I have to. So, and God said, let the land produce. Now, produce. This is the funny thing with the English language. Take it back, put it in etymology. You're going to get various meanings and what times they were using these words to convey something to people, or it was used in the 1600s for this and the 1900s for that, so on and so forth. Okay. So again, produce could be representing people, food, anything that is like just like fruit, just like we like to call that the thing that Eve supposedly ate, when it never said that Eve ate anything. It said the woman did. Okay. So when it says that, even about the fruit, and people like to call it an apple when it never said apple. See, this is what we do here. I want to say I don't want religious things and what mainstream everything gets us to kind of just regurgitate stuff that we've heard, and this is not what we're doing here. We're going in. Okay. So so produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock. And when we're talking about this, what could we be talking about? Chattel slavery? Could we be talking about chattel? Because chattel and cattle can also be used. You know what I'm trying to say. Okay. So, let's see. Creatures that move along the ground. Again, the ground would be, closest. It's not the earth, but it's close to it. Okay. So, and the wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so, and God made the wild animals according to their kinds. Okay. The living stock, again, there's your those that are dead by law because they call themselves African American and Black. And then those are others that are considered as peoples. Okay. And you're just a racial group or something of that sort when you check the little box on your Social Security. I think it's a SF something form. So again, let's see. According to their kind, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds, and God saw it was good. And then God said, let us make, okay, so here we're going to go right here. And I have 3 different versions. I'm going to read this to you in, okay? So then God said, let us make a man in our own image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea. Okay, so now we've condensed those people into fish, like a group or a school of fish that the creatures that they brought forth. This could possibly be really talking about that. Okay, and then it says, let us make man in our image, in our likeness. And you know what the image means. We pulled that up the other day, and then likeness as well. It goes along perfect with what we're trying to say. And let them, and when you do etymology, do not skip the related terms, because there's lots of juicy information in there that sometimes is not in the actual word itself. Okay, so let us make man in our own image and our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and the birds of the air, and over the living or the livestock, over all the earth. Okay, so this is the earth and everything the earth has produced, okay, or brought forth, or everything that has sprung from the earth, like indigenous creatures or beings. Okay, and all over okay, and over all the creatures that moveth along the ground. And again, all the people that creatures that moveth upon the ground. And just because I just have to do this, because you guys know I like to try to be a little thorough. Okay, let's see if we can just pull this up, just in case somebody is just watching this. The caste system divides the Hindus into 4 main categories. Now, we say Hindus here because this is the oldest people that supposedly use this system. But how do we know that it didn't migrate down and around and over too? Okay, so many believe this groups originated from the Brahmins or Brahma, the Hindu god of creation. So again, we're talking about the god of creation right here in the Bible. So hey, let's talk about the god of creation right here. So let's go ahead and look at what we're talking about. Oh, this is the one I like. Okay, so here's where you have your in the sky or in their heavens. You know, higher up. They're high. They have a higher uh, okay, elevated status, okay, and then they know a lot of, but they have higher learning because they know more about you than you know about yourself. Okay, and then you know this is their system that they use, and we've already gone through this. The priest is equivalent to the church, academics equivalent to school. And people are waking up to notice that these things have not been helping us. They have been harming us and sending us in another direction that is more away from what is natural to our people. And we've been letting someone that is a newer people bring us in that direction, and that has to stop. The warriors would be your military forces and your police forces. And the kings would represent your presidents or the ones that preside in the garden. Okay, and then right here, I don't know what this one is, what says, but these are the merchants and the landowners. Okay, and so these are the people that, you know, are the rich or the bankers or your, you know, people in society that, you know, do have a lot of stuff that basically distracts us as well. Okay, and then you have your commoners and your peasants and your servants. And again, they are servants of God or this system as well, but they're at the bottom of the pyramid here. And you, my darker view people, friends and family, my Aboriginal people worldwide, are the untouchables. Okay, they would just call this a slavery system. Okay, and you have masters, you know, and you have a God. You think you do, but again, if God works are equivalent and almost exact to what your government entity or whatever is running it does, and you don't like the way that these people are doing it, the governing forces, what makes it so? What have they done to us mentally to think that God is not the same? Because he hasn't come to do anything to do anything to help or assist. And these people pretend, the governing forces pretend like they want to help or do something for you, and they don't do it either. So at the same time, you have to wonder, have you been had? And I know it's the hardest thing in the world to find out that you've been believing so hardly in something that is not for you. But again, I think that this was supposed to be for them. Okay, and it was not supposed to be for us, but of course you're going to follow with, or you're going to try to get up here some kind of way, because again, everybody that comes here, even if they're coming here now, can come here and get something and own something, and you still don't have anything. And you know what, these people come into your communities, matter of fact, this never happens in anyone's, not Chinatown, not Germantown, not none of these Polish places, none of this. But in your area, these people come here because they don't want you to have anything. So the more they bring these people here, I mean, I'm sorry to say, but it does. You know, I'm not being, but again, I know that at one point in time, these borders were not, possibly not a thing. You see what I'm saying? We wouldn't have these borders up unless these colonizers came and put them there. So again, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not here to say where nobody belongs at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? The most important thing for us to do is to know who we are first, get rid of religion, because that is the construct that has been messing with your mind. Because once they got to our mind, they don't have to read the words. You see how I'm reading this, and it makes a lot more sense, right? And you can find tangible things, right, that go along with this, that correlate with this, and it sits right, no matter who you are. If you gave me a chance to speak, this way of reading this sticks with you a little bit better than you just thinking that this stuff happened so long ago that you can't, it's kind of like removing it like from reality. I don't know. It's a weird way of how I don't know exactly how to say it to you of how it's been done when we think that this happened 5,000 years ago or whatnot. And it might have just been recently. We might be a recently broken people that can repair ourselves. And this book that you think they use to enslave you might be the tool that you need to use with the correct mindset to free you. Oh, that's the funniest thing I've ever. You see, now somebody that's been reading this for 40 years and they regurgitate it and they memorize it, and just like they have our kids doing with everything in school today. Okay, because they're not really learning anything but how to sit there, be quiet, stand up when the bell rings, go to lunch, come out, go in the yard. I told you guys, just like jail. Okay, our children should be expressing themselves, going out in nature. Kids should be running together. It shouldn't. The school is the way it's set up. To me, it's just, I have to say it because that's just what I stand for. It's garbage. It's just garbage. Unless you go in there to learn a trade or something to take into something that you want to do, it's a waste of your money. When you get these loans in this unforgiven debt, you are just trapping yourself further into their deadlock. Okay? So again, that's just my personal preference. So let us make a man in our own image and our likeness, and let him rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and the living stock, and over all the earth, and over all the creatures that moveth upon the ground. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase your numbers, and fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea. Why would they have to rule? Do we have to rule over the fish today? Do we have to rule over the fish today? Or did what turned into all of these entities like Congress and senators and everything just keep on growing and bring their kind over here, and then they gave them the 50 acres and the mule that was supposed to go to you after slavery, and they've been feeding them mentally to make them think that they're better than you. So it's a false perception on both sides. It's a false perception on both sides. If they're telling you you're African and they tell the whole nation you're African, then people that look different than you, that have been given a perception that they're better in all these other things, are going to automatically feel like they are. Just like the favorite child, okay? Let's just go ahead and just agree with that, okay? So, and they're going to think that they can treat you some kind of way. And then when some kind of things happen with you, they're going to think it does not even matter because it's not them. You know what I'm saying? So this is the kind of thing that has gone. So it's not just like we have been mind controlled and mind, you know what? They have too. Okay, so nobody's to blame but these at the top and these that may know very well. Okay, these people. This is still close to the bottom. Okay, they're still roaming on. They're still on the earth. Okay. Um. So. And again, they're commoners, peasants, and servants too. You're just the lowest grade of them. Cursed above all of the beast of the field or whatever. That's you. So again, if you think about the way that this God or these Lord gods or these, you know, Lord of hope, how these people speak, how these entities are speaking to the people, and reverse your psychology as to you being your ancestors being the ones that they could have been saying this to, that every knee shall bow and every tongue will confess that this is the Lord thy God. Now, what if this could have been somebody that we're talking about in real time, not that long ago, that was in this whole thing of slavery and this whole governing force, okay? That came to our people that were here, not in Africa, stolen from Africa, but that were here, right? And they had weapons that our people didn't have. And they overpowered them. And they were talking and getting people to be separate and divide them with religion and different teachings and stuff like this, and with war and fighting amongst each other. And just think if they came and this was our people standing here on their land, and these invaders and colonizers were coming here saying, get on your knees, and then you go, and we know this happened. So and they had these crosses and stuff on their boats, and they had the cross with them and this Jesus statue or whatever and all this stuff. And they said, you're going to honor this and every knee is going to confess. It comes off differently. You know what I'm saying? So it comes off differently to me. That I would have been one of those ones that we would probably had a problem with. So again, when you take your mind out of the gutter where they have it, calling you a wretch and you're not worthy and all this other stuff, that's nonsense. Because even though other people may say these things, no one takes it to heart more than the so-called African American community, and nobody's in worse off shape than those people. So get the fuck up off your knees, period. I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but I'm just thinking, I was just thinking, can we just go on a vacation from religion for a minute and just go within? I think it would help a lot of people understand what's really being said in this book. I think it would really help you. So, again, let's go ahead and he said, so be fruitful and multiply everything. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so then we're gonna read one more thing. No, I'll go ahead and let you guys listen to this clip. Okay.
Specifically claims that God created all things in 6 days and created people on the sixth day of creation, but it only started with two people, Adam and Eve. Genesis 2:7. Then the Lord God formed the man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. Notice there's no evolutionary history of mankind here. We didn't evolve from monkeys. We were created specifically by God.
By God, made it.
Now, what I just read you was what G-O-D, capital G-O-D, did in the first chapter about making the man in his image. Let's read it one more time. Then God said, let us make a man, someone like ourselves. This is the Living Bible, okay? Then God said, let us make a man, someone like ourselves, to be the master of all life upon the earth and the skies and the seas. So God made man like his maker. Like God did God make man. Man and maid did he make them. And he blessed them and told them to multiply, okay, and fill the earth and subdue it. If the earth is the American Negro, so-called, or American Aborigine, have they subdued you enough? Okay. You are masters of the fish and birds and all the animals. And all the animals And look, I have given you every seed bearing. Okay, so this is again, I've given you all of them. So you're a master at the ones that you're bringing over here because we've already done that. You see what I'm saying? So what you need to do is subdue the earth now, right? Go ahead and subdue it. Now let's see what that means. To conquer and reduce to subjugation. Okay? That is what happened to you. You are prisoners of war. This is the way people became slaves back in these times. Okay? You either got your place conquered and you were reduced, and that's where you are on the bottom of that thing now, or you were brought from another place because they didn't want you. You were undesired, okay, or jailbirds or whatever, and they brought you over here, okay? Or let's see, what an indentured servant. So again, oh, and let's even go into this, but this meant deceive also. See? So he's telling you to deceive them, seduce them, draw away. That's where your original comes from, because you were led away, carried off, withdrew from society, and placed at the bottom. Okay? Okay? So let's go ahead, subjugated. Again, 1600. Are we in the sixth day? Because this was already going on in the 1400s. So again, are we in the fourth day here too? Okay. Are we in the fourth day here too? Okay. Again, the 1400s. Is that where we at right here? So subjugated, meaning calm down, reduce. The savages, you see, reduce them. Okay. So daunt, to vanquish, subdue, or conquer. To be afraid or fear, control, restrain, to tame, again, okay? So these are all oppressive, okay? Okay, oppressive. Well, sense of inclined to oppress or press against, press down, crush. Again, what would you be if you at the bottom of that temple that I just showed you? You would be crushed. But it's still a burden. That's why they call it the Negro problem or the Indian problem, because you were still a problem. Okay, so subdue it. Okay, to subdue it, and well, later on he's going to say to keep it. Okay, so let's go back to the video. Okay, and then I'm going to read you from this other one here. 28, Genesis 1 and 27. So God created man. This is King James Version. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, G-O-D, created he him, male and female, and created he them. Okay. Most of the Bible say or woman. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at this. Let's go ahead and look at. Wait. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. So I just read you those two. Now let's go ahead and listen
But
to
where
this.
does the woman come from? Well, the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man. And while he slept, he took one of his ribs and closed up his place with flesh. And the rib the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman.
Let's keep this in mind. This is Genesis 2. They skipped the whole whatever happened over here in Genesis 1. Why? Why would they skip that? Why would they skip that? Now, let's go ahead and look at what woman is, okay? Let's look at maid, because one of these says maid, okay? 1200, place surnames, an unmarried woman, usually young, the Virgin Mary, like that word, something, Middle English, unmarried men, okay? And okay, now maid was used for unmarried men as well as women, okay? Which was used of both sexes, okay? A virgin, mid servant, female attendant, lady in waiting. This had yielding the number since female servant. Okay, whatnot. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, right here. Okay, so It was used for both sexes. Okay, and then let's look up woman. Adult female human, literally a woman, man. Alteration, woman, female servant, a compound of wife, human being, used in reference to both sexes. See man compared to Dutch wife. And I think in Dutch, did somebody put up something about in Dutch or Irish that Mary, I think it was Mary, was a term used for Aboriginal woman. And I didn't, I've never seen it before, so I didn't, I was going to post it on my Facebook, but I didn't until I went ahead and do my own research to check and see if that means anything. So I'll probably do that later, but I thought that that was interesting, okay? Wife, literally a woman, man. So male and female, woman, man, whoa, man. Mm. A female person to man, masculine, representing either a male or female. Again, why would we be calling a man a woman unless somebody has misled us about that as well? A wife can also be a marriage between a male and a male, meaning when it comes to someone leaving their land and joining on to or cleaving on to a new place, a new land. Okay. So let's see. America banished and ladies and females and let's see what else. Womanish, man, womanly, feminine, resembling a woman. Now, what the heck? If you're a woman, why would you have to be womanish? Okay, of a man or male. So ain't it funny how they chose those terms later on in Genesis to say that, great, this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, and we will call her this because she was taken out of man. So if a boy or a young man is castrated prior to puberty, back then, all the way up until now, his body will transform. He will have certain features. There will be an awkwardness to, but you may not be able to tell with a little bit of help in reconstructive surgery that you're even dealing with a woman that was taken out of man, meaning that now that you castrated him, certain feminine qualities will appear. Okay. So when people are saying that, the people have always worshipped said idols, which the Bible also speaks against. And we have American idols or celebrities today that people are saying your favorite ones, the A-listers and the big top dancers and that can just do these amazing things that really a woman, if you really just want to keep it real, would not be able to keep up with that pace. I know that there are some very strenuous women, but these women don't even do, they joke around about not working out and how they're able to keep this physique, and they know the everyday woman would have to really be on her damn game to get this. But again, have you seen how now we're going into this whole thing like it just popped up with this whole transgenderism thing? It just was like gay rights. Oh, boom, transgenders have taken over. So you kind of got to see how this works and how it's been there all along, just creeping along with us, okay? And now they just want to be themselves. Like a lot of these Tamar and them are trying to come out and say, but if you really look at, they have these features that these Greek goddess and gods and goddesses have, and a lot of these Greek gods have breast, and but you can't, they have the thing covering up their bottom half so you can't tell. But today I have some images for you, okay? So this is a womanish, behaving in a manner of a woman, effeminate, okay? And we already did effeminate, okay? And this we're going to go more deeper into it later on with this whole thing. But I just want to maybe see if I can pull up a couple of images. Okay, wow. Okay, well, We have one here. What is this? Maybe here. And I'm not saying anything negative. See, there are a lot of people that take these things and they still have a negative something about the way that they're talking. I'm just educating people. I'm just giving people the information, okay? That this thing, trans people and all this stuff is not new, okay? Plenty of gay, lesbian, but again, they're not coming right out and telling you that a lot of these people had surgeries back then to change their, or were castrated as well. Okay, so we find a lot of these things here. It's kind of explicit or whatnot, but again, I'm just trying to show you, and we wonder why people would want these things. But then again, if you were dealing with someone that had theirs removed, you know, again, because this was a popular thing back then. Okay, again, to me, this is what this is, an androgynous being here. Okay, it's more about looking at the anatomy and breaking this down for myself over the past couple of years, because I used to be a big person that loved movies and everything. And I'm not stating anything because I haven't had my mind wrapped all the way around what we're actually dealing with here. But at the same time, you won't be able to tell me the ones that I've already looked at and that I see looking a certain way. Another thing, you would not be able to tell probably that this was having this here. Okay, so again, this is what we're dealing with, possibly with your A-listers and your big celebrities in Hollywood. And I, for one, was one of the people that was lucky enough to have a young adult in my life that showed me a clip an hour after there was a wardrobe malfunction with Cardi B in her Greenland, I think, uh, tour that she did. And there was not enough time really for anyone to really doctor these images up like that. And I have one of something that looked very close to this. What they said, she rushed off the stage because she had a wedgie. But I actually saw something just like this hanging out of the side of her underwear. So that's just my opinion. Okay. And then you have to wonder why they wear those really hard, sculptured bodysuit, bodice kind of things when they're doing all these things. Um, I've already done the research on how people are able to tape and tuck, and the shoulders, the width of people. Now I'm saying you have to have more than 8 of these characteristics that are mainly in one sex, not the other, for me to even look at it. Okay, because I just want to be able to point these things out. I really don't care what they do. I'm trying to work with the people. Okay, I'm talking grassroots here. So that's my main concern. But I do want to expose this because, again, how can we have these people that are not us, again, another group of people that are not us, telling and showing our daughters how to be women and being role models or some kind of form to these? Whole time they want to be you. And now we're talking about like womb transplants. And we wonder where our missing children are and where Hollywood gets a lot of these children that they have there, that they supposedly had these babies. And I'm telling you that I don't think that they have. So again, when a celebrity shows me, they're so quick to show their stomach and get naked and do a photoshopped photo shoot of their belly with the perfect angles and everything to cover up the moon bump. That's a thing that people buy that looks like a realistic stomach to put on during these pregnancies, I feel. And but no one has lifted up their shirt and shown you when they'll show you a peek of it or something, but they won't show you anything when the baby is moving. Their stomachs are never lopsided. I've had children. I've had twins and I've had children. Um, and again, your stomach is not always perfectly round like that. At some point in time when they get really big, it shifts off to the side and is deformed. I've never seen any celebrity ever in my entire, I used to be a movie whore. I used to love these people. Okay? To a certain extent. So for me to wake up and realize this, it was something differently. I was able to prove it to myself and look into not etymology, but I looked into this biblical stuff, etymology, and I looked into what is it called? Anatomy of how the woman's body is supposed to be shaped in the males and everything. I looked at fashion and history. I looked at all of this stuff. So I've already done the legwork. Okay, so there's no changing my mind. but I'm just wanting to bring some stuff to your guys' attention. You ever notice that a lot of these Hollywood women, especially the ones that are really super tall, your housewives and things like this. So, and a lot of these people might have like something like, looks like they have some kind of something pumped into their necks because, and then other times you'll see Adam's apples. Um, you'll see that the chin and the neckline is not the way that it should be for a female. The way their breasts are, they usually have a really bony, muscular chest, and the breasts are hanging way down here. Um, Again, there's certain things to do with the way the legs and the hips are supposed to be formed, the dip in the back. These are different things, okay, where they've gotten craftier because we have Photoshop. I mean, we have all kind of stuff to do with altering photos. And then we have also like amazing plastic surgeons, but they had them back then too. Not on this scale, okay? So you can kind of see, okay? These are a couple of just things that I was looking into about how they would take a rib cartilage, okay, and they would take the, uh, you know, and put it in certain people so that they can have a pretend penis or to that extent, okay? So this is a real thing. So when we're talking about that he took a rib from Adam, okay, and made he a woman again. So what is this? We didn't get there yet, but he took and it made he a woman. Do you get what I'm saying? So we're gonna go deeper. We're almost there. You know, I'm trying not to make the video too long. Okay. I went into looking at things like this. You guys can pause this as you please, but I have to be somewhere in a moment, so I'm just trying to hurry this up. You can kind of see this feminine kind of, whatnot, and then you have a something here. And people always wonder why these statues have, but I mean, I know it's kind of small in the state, but I mean, come on, like really. So, again, very soft, feminine features here. Let's see. And this is just for those who are just unaware. Um, let's see. So yeah, these type of things, bone being removed from places to put it there and graft it there, and then if he sewed up, took something out of rib out of Adam, and then he sewed up the place thereof. And it depends on what we're thinking of. Could then that have maybe been taking something out of Adam in order to put it somewhere else, and then grafting, putting skin graft or something there in order to cover that, and then it made him a woman. So again, we're going to go into that scripture too. I just, sexual reassignment was a thing even in ancient times, okay? It's been around for a long time. I'm just showing you guys these things so I can get them off of the screen. Um, so when we come back, I don't have to bring up, but this is how I do my research, and then I go a little bit deeper. So this is just giving you some terms and stuff that you can look up to see, again, if you can find something that might show you something better. Okay, we'll stop here because we're going to come pick up at eunuchs and what part they played in society at certain times, and how, again, we were talking about eunuchs in the Bible as well. So of course this could have been happening in biblical times. I know it was in the church, castratis or castratos that were also had this procedure done. And yeah, so I think that that's probably it for now. We'll come back. I'm going to stop here because this is where I want to come back to. So again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and come meet me back because I got some really good stuff here. I have all these things set up so that I can show you some stuff that's pretty weird and pretty kind of like, what are we really talking about here? So again, that we're thinking transgenderism is something that was all that just popped up when the very people that are in the fabrics of these societies have been doing this for a long time. So we're not here to prove anything to anyone. I'm just here to bring alternative information and a different way of thinking to those who are trying to expand and open up their mind. Because again, if you free your mind, the rest will follow. So again, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.